It's May of 1940. German forces have swept across Western Europe with terrifying speed. Britain stands alone on the brink of annihilation. In a secret bunker beneath London, Winston Leonard Spencer Churchill, newly appointed Prime Minister, stands resolutely, a cigar clamped firmly between his fingers. He's about to deliver a message that will echo through the ages. This is the story of how one man, guided by unwavering conviction, would shift the destiny of the world. Winston Leonard Spencer Churchill was born on the 30th of November, 1874, within the opulent walls of Blenheim Palace. His father was Lord Randolph Churchill, a prominent but mercurial British politician. His mother, Jenny Jerome, hailed from New York, an American socialite whose bold spirit melded with aristocratic English roots, an unusual heritage that would later shape Winston's global outlook. Yet this privileged start didn't guarantee an easy childhood. At Harrow School, young Winston was no star pupil. He chafed against rules and failed the entrance exam for the Royal Military College at Sandhurst multiple times. Yet beneath the rebellious exterior lay a restless ambition, soon to be channeled on a grand stage and thrust him into insanely dangerous battlegrounds. Commissioned as an officer in the British Army, Churchill quickly sought adventure overseas. Serving as both soldier and war correspondent, he found himself in the Boer War, a conflict in South Africa that would define his early reputation. Captured by Boer commandos, he staged a daring escape, evading enemy lines and trekking hundreds of miles to safety. The escapade electrified the British press, turning Churchill into a national hero overnight. With his newfound fame, he ventured into politics, first entering Parliament in 1900. Yet heroism on the battlefield was only a beginning. True trials awaited in the political arena, a place no less fraught with peril. Churchill's political path was as unpredictable as it was ambitious. He switched from the Conservative Party to the Liberal Party in 1904, believing he could champion social reforms more effectively. Critics accused him of opportunism, but Churchill forged ahead, relishing debate and pushing boundaries. From prison reform to naval expansion, he wielded his growing influence across multiple government posts. Yet with the outbreak of World War I, his bold strategies would collide with global turmoil on an unprecedented scale. He had weathered political skirmishes before, yet nothing could prepare him for the devastation and consequences soon to unfold. As First Lord of the Admiralty, Churchill orchestrated the ill-fated Gallipoli campaign, aiming to strike at the Ottoman Empire and break the stalemate. Instead, the operation proved catastrophic, costing thousands of lives and undermining Britain's war effort. Blamed for the disaster, Churchill resigned in disgrace. Stripped of his position, he sank into despair. The weight of Gallipoli haunted him, yet this bitter lesson in defeat would shape his leadership in the years to come. Out of power and wounded by failure, he couldn't know that an even more formidable threat was looming on the horizon. In the interwar years, Churchill rejoined the Conservative Party. From the backbenches, he sounded the alarm about Nazi Germany. His urgency went largely ignored, seen as warmongering. Yet by 1939, Hitler's invasion of Poland confirmed Churchill's darkest fears and dragged Britain into another global conflict. He had sounded the alarm, and Europe was now ablaze. Soon, Britain would look to Churchill for more than just warnings. It would need his leadership in its darkest hour. May 10, 1940. With Neville Chamberlain's government collapsing under Germany's blitzkrieg in Western Europe, Churchill became Prime Minister at an age many people retire. But to him, it was a calling. And for Britain, perhaps its last hope. He wasted no time galvanizing Britain with the fire of his speeches. "We shall fight on the beaches. Let us go forward together with our united strength." And, Never in the field of human conflict was so much owed by so many to so few, words that rallied a besieged island to resist. In its bleakest moment, Churchill's voice became Britain's shield. But with the country on the brink of annihilation, could his defiant spirit hold steady against the relentless tides of war? Beneath London's streets, in the cabinet war rooms, Churchill lived on catnaps, cigars, and an unwavering belief in eventual victory. Through his famed partnership with President Franklin Roosevelt, he secured vital American aid, an alliance that would prove decisive in turning the tide. Despite relentless bombings in the Blitz, Churchill's unwavering defiance created a national spirit of resolve and resilience. Britain stood tall as the backbone of Allied resistance. Though new alliances spurred hope, the final road to victory and the surprises along the way would challenge Churchill in ways he never anticipated. On May 8, 1945, Nazi Germany surrendered. Jubilant crowds flooded London, celebrating victory in Europe Day, hailing Churchill as the architect of their salvation. Churchill basked in applause, only to be stunned weeks later when the public voted him out in a general election. War-weary citizens yearned for social reform, and thus Britain's war hero found himself without the premiership. Toppled at his pinnacle, Churchill's journey was far from over. Another chapter awaited, and it would unfold amid a rapidly changing world. Churchill did not fade quietly into history. In 1946, he warned of an Iron Curtain dividing Europe, foreshadowing the Cold War. By 1951, he was again Prime Minister, though his health was weakening. In 1953, he won the Nobel Prize in Literature for his sweeping historical accounts and oratory, an extraordinary recognition for a statesman. He retired for good in 1955, yet his influence endured. Revered by many, controversial to others, Winston Churchill cast a long shadow over Britain's role on the global stage. He had reclaimed power, honors, and public acclaim, but a swiftly shifting era would continue to test how history remembered him. Winston Churchill passed away on the 24th of January, 1965, receiving a state funeral of immense magnitude. Dignitaries from across the globe gathered to honor the man who, in Britain's darkest hour, roared with a defiance that reshaped history. Yet Churchill's story remains deeply complex. He was an imperialist to some, a flawed hero to others, and above all, the voice that refused to surrender. His ability to stand firm against the greatest threat of his time secured his status as one of the 20th century's most influential and debated figures.